This video features highlights of a discussion presented to diplomatic, business, and academic professionals by the Robert J. Dole Institute of Politics on December 1st, 2021. The discussion offers an introduction to the Kosovo American Education Fund, known as KAEF, and recounts the modern history of Kosovo and its successful transition to an inclusive, independent, democratic country. It also details the pivotal role Senator Robert Dole played in Kosovo's development and reiterates his support through a statement provided by him. The full presentation, including a moderated discussion with the presenters, is available through the link in the video's description below. American Councils greatly appreciates your support of the KAEF program and welcomes any questions or comments you may have.
Focusing on the Kosovo American Education Fund, it's a graduate fellowship program that is being offered to the talented Kosovars for advanced degrees in the U.S. It's established with initial funding from AID in 2004 and has operated as an independent entity since then. Today, KAEF is supported largely through the charitable support of private sector in Kosovo, but also individuals of goodwill in Kosovo, the U.S., and also the American universities in big part. KAEF fellows demonstrate a strong commitment to the economic development of Kosovo.
So we have prepared a timeline of main events in Kosovo's modern history. Yugoslavia was ruled by Josip Broz Tito, the communist leader of Yugoslavia, from World War II up until his death in 1980. By World War II, the illiteracy rate among Kosovo Albanian population was very high, and the administrative and education system was dominated by the Serb minority in Kosovo. The rights, or the lack thereof, of Kosovo Albanians, who constituted the majority of Kosovo's population, about 80%, changed depending on the relationship that Yugoslavia had with Albania, the neighboring country. Following the protests of Kosovo Albanians in 1968, the Yugoslav Communist Party held a conference in Croatia where it decided to replace Serb nationalists from its leadership positions and decided to grant Kosovo additional self-governing rights. In the meantime, the University of Pristina was established in 1970, offering degrees in Albanian language with the support of literature supplies and teachers from Albania. Then, finally, in 1974, Yugoslavia granted Kosovo full autonomy with almost the same self-governing rights as Yugoslavia's 6 constituent republics. Slobodan Milosevic, here in this picture, then the head of Serbia's Communist Party, was sent by Yugoslavia's president to ease the tensions in Kosovo. Instead, Milosevic used this opportunity to instigate in the background clashes between Serb nationalists and the Kosovo police. He staged a speech in front of a crowd of Serbs, angry Serbs, in the outskirts of the capital, Pristina. He shouted at the crowd of Serbs, nationalists, saying, "No one can touch you." This event made Milosevic famous and powerful among Serb nationalists and paved the way for the breakup of Yugoslavia. So going back to the events of the time, the Kosovo Albanian leadership organized protests against the repressive policies of Belgrade. All the protests were crushed by the police, again leaving many dead, injured, and arrested. Considering that Serbia took control of the police forces in Kosovo, had a powerful army, and that the focus of the international community was on the wars in Croatia and Bosnia, the Albanian leadership organized a peaceful resistance movement against Milosevic's regime. The movement was led by the pacifist leader Ibrahim Rugova.
The day Senator Dole visited Kosovo, that August of 1990, some 10,000 Kosovar Albanians showed up in front of his hotel to demonstrate our cause and hope to draw attention to our plight, the Serbian oppression. The uprising was quelled by the Serb police using tear gas and water cannons. In his remarks, Senator Bob Dole stood up for us, rightly confirming that it was the Serb state apparatus that suppressed the protesters. We have footage of that visit, and I'd like to show you part of that of the visit.
People want freedom. Ljudi žele slobodu. People want human rights. Ljudi žele ljudska prava. They have a right to demonstrate. Oni imaju pravo da
They have a right to express their views.
Oni imaju pravo da
They have a right to hold up their fingers.
His visit and his remarks mark the beginning of the internationalizing of the Kosovo cause, which a decade later led to our freedom and paved our way for independence.
You all know from the time of our first meeting, Senator Dole has worked very hard in behalf of Albanian people, especially the people of Kosovo.
Kosovo's democratically elected representatives convened an extraordinary meeting of the Kosovo Assembly on February 17 of 2008 to declare Kosovo an independent and sovereign state. What a feeling. How lucky were we to be part of a celebration of a declaration of independence, but also what a responsibility for Kosovo leaders to build a democratic, multi-ethnic republic guided by the principles of non-discrimination and equal protection under the law. A responsibility that Kosovo institutions and people took with pride and gratitude. Kosovo is a success story. Today, Kosovo maintains internal stability as well as contributing to a more peaceful and stable region. With its far-reaching protections as stipulated in our constitution, Kosovo is home to all its communities. We have a special relationship with the United States. As you have probably noticed throughout the presentation, everything starts and continues with the United States. We have worked together with the United States towards our independence. And today, the United States supports us in all of our efforts as a state, as a sovereign and independent state, with the normalization of Kosovo's and Serbia's relations, with strengthening the rule of law, fostering economic growth, energy security, justice promotion.
I was in contact with Senator Dole earlier this week, and he wanted to send a brief message to you all, and I'll read that here. He says, ad aspera per aspera, to the stars through difficulty. Many of us know that as the motto for the great state of Kansas. I think about this sometimes when I reflect upon the challenges I faced after World War II due to my injuries. Like many people, after the war, I was optimistic that the atrocities inflicted upon so many innocent people by the Nazi regime would not darken the planet again. Unfortunately, displacement and genocide by brutal dictators are still with us today, but there is hope, and if anyone doubts, they need only to look to the newest democracy in Europe, the Republic of Kosovo, a small but determined nation. When I visited in 1990, I saw hundreds of ethnic Albanians flooding the streets in spite of beatings and being hosed by Serbian police. They wanted freedom and were willing to not only fight for it, but to rebuild after a war and do the work to become a democracy with free and fair elections, whose constitution enshrines the basic rights of all citizens. Ad aspera per aspera, to the stars through difficulty. I'd like to give a special thanks to the team at the Dole Institute and to my dear friend Jimmy Jama and all the others for putting this program together. And to all my friends in Kosovo who may be watching, I keep you in my heart always.